Good evening, welcome to Four Lads Rangers Instant Match Reaction. Brann 3, Rangers 0. Yeah, see if you think the pods were negative last night and they've been negative before, turn it off immediately, because there's going to be some mere home truth said in this one. Kenny, that was fucking disgraceful.
Aye, it was. Men against boys. An absolute shit show from start to finish. Lucky to get out 3-0 again. And what I'll say here, right, very quickly before we kind of kick on, is the Rangers got in the quarterfinals of this competition last year. We're rank fucking bottom. Now, that is down to the recruitment. Clearly, we could have, as I just said to you, you could have Pep with Klopp as his assistant here. You're not getting a tune out of that shit. You're not. It's so poor. Incapable of passing a ball and pace, incapable of controlling a ball. And the majority of these guys, I think 7 of the starters today were the new signings. More of them come on, and you can see this is disgraceful. If anybody genuinely believes that this is acceptable for Rangers Football Club, they need their heads looked at.
We were told in the comments last night that we were too negative, that Chris was too negative, that Kenny was too negative, that I was too negative, that pointing out that being 6th in the league, Europe, looking already an uphill task. People wanted positivity. We will keep it real on this podcast every single time. And I will not sit here and tell everybody that things are going to get better, because it's impossible to believe that when you see the quality of player that we have in that team. That was truly god-awful. Ali said the recruitment has been horrendous, and that's strong words for somebody like Ali. Yep, that's completely correct. And he said it was like watching boys at times. Kenny, that's the truth. We are miles away. There's no leaders in there. There's no, we don't tackle. We dip our toes in. People push us off the ball. We're easily brushed aside. They run past us like we're not there. It doesn't matter who's in the dugout when you're dealing with that. I said somehow we have to try and get to January. When you look at the games coming up, genuinely, when you look at the games coming up, it is not going to get any better anytime soon. Hibs away, Celtic, Kilmarnock on Sunday. These are all teams that will know how to play us. Then it comes to Roma. This is going to get extremely painful, extremely quickly. This is my word. Genuinely, that is absolutely rotten from start to finish. I mean, we need to try and talk about the game, and you just go to the first goal, and James Tavernier miles out of position, John Souttar miles out of position. The pair of them create a massive gap. None of them are talking to each other. We said it, no leadership, no just no defensive ability in there at all. The boy then goes through, Butland commits, he scarfs it across, we've all stopped, and the boy taps it in. It's just a horrendous amount of errors from start to finish. I would love to say that I was surprised by that standard, but I really wasn't.
No. We've seen that too often with James Tavernier being far too far up the pitch. Now at 34 next week, I think he is, just utterly incapable of getting back. But he didn't even know the boy was there, Stevie. That's what kind of concerns me about it. But this is what happens. We discussed this last night. When you basically build a makeshift defence with loans, teenagers, guys not getting a game for the clubs. Souttar, we know, is not bad when it comes to that siege defending thing, but the rest are either done or rank rotten. And there's just no getting away from this, Stevie. That was bearing in mind the level of opposition that we were playing today. They made us look like rank amateurs tonight, and they're not a particularly good side again. That's 3 times we've had to come out and say this after these Europa League games, and we are an embarrassment. That's an embarrassment to the football club. What's happened now, it is, and the buck stops with one person, and it does. I've just sent you a picture. I think it's from Follow. And there is a question that needs asked here, and we might go on to discuss it. But I am actually at a loss for words now, because you've seen my notes for the second half, and I've just sat for 45 minutes and utterly shook my head. It's just pathetic. I mean, that's all I can say, Stevie. We could go over this game, but we are just going over the same old crap time and time again. That squad is the jury has been out for me because of Russell Martin. That's what I would say. You see it now. They seem utterly incapable of doing the basics right, Stevie. That's what I'm saying.
The damage that Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell have done to this club is immeasurable, Kenny. We're seeing it play out right in front of our eyes. We have built a championship squad and we're playing like an English championship lower half side. Defending for the second goal. As soon as Ant-Man gave it away, horrible touch, gives away the free kick. You knew it was coming because we cannot defend. Meghoma's miles out his depth. I'll continue to say it. He is not good enough for Rangers. He is, if he was coming through our youth system, he would have been put out the team by now. I would go to stretch to say that he is arguably below Robbie Fraser's level, who we put out. He cannot defend positionally. He is horrid, and he is as weak as piss. And you've seen it with that goal. He just gets pushed out the way. He doesn't even get pushed out the way. The boy just manoeuvres him out the way, and the boy then heads in. And it's almost like having a tap in at goal because we do not even challenge him. I would love to again say that we're better than that, but we're not. And it's 2-0, Kenny. And it was coming and it was predictable. And we are going to lose more goals like that because we have no presence anywhere in that box. We cannot defend set pieces. I'm at a mind, do you go with 3 centre-backs and then who would you pick? We put Clinton Nsiala out the team because he apparently couldn't defend. Well, you know what? I think at this point, this looks really harsh on him. Manny Fernandez, 4 million, and he can't go on. We know he's been injured. Well, we found out he's been injured. But honestly, I don't know how you fix this. And that second goal summed up what we are going to have to watch. January, by the way, January needs to be a complete rebuild. And January is almost an impossible window to do it, Kenny. We've got guys on loan that shouldn't be here anymore. And as I said, that second goal, mate, I'm asking you to try and put it into words, but Jesus, man, that was grim.
If the boy Megoma was on our books, Stevie, he would have been loaned out to Raith Rovers or Ayr United in the Championship because that's the level he's at. And that's the stark truth of it. Whoever thought getting rid of Yefty, decent money for him, and replacing him with that.
By the way, Yefty wasn't good enough either. Neither was Ridvan. Exactly. They're miles clear of these boys. Like miles.
And neither was Yilmaz either. And this is what I'm saying. But to downgrade to a boy that like quite clearly is utterly and completely out his depth at this level, never mind domestic level, and he is out his depth in the Premier League in Scotland. I don't know, Stevie. I just feel that I had the fear the minute Ant-Man just came barging back and brought the boy down. I had the fear this is going to. I know, because it's an absolutely horrendous touch. One of about 100 horrendous touches I've watched tonight. 3 in total mishits in the first half, 2 from Asgard. That's an international player. I don't think I've ever seen an international player have 2 complete mishits in one half of football. That's the level that we are at. And you're saying that about bottom end of the Championship, Stevie. I actually think this is more likely struggling in League One level in England, this squad of players. That's how bad I think this is at the moment. And do I think that they're perhaps better than they're shown? Yeah, probably. But Danny Rule has got one hell of a job on, and Russell Martin had to go. He couldn't get results. He had more than ample time to figure out a way of setting this team up, and he couldn't do it. Danny Rule doesn't have that fortune at this moment in time. But for me, the first goals are horrendous. The second goal's horrendous. We'll come to the third goal. It is just absolutely atrocious defending yet again. And as I say, we're reaping what we've sown, Stevie. We knew Tavernier was done. Jack Butland with question marks over John Souttar last, at the end of last season. And we've just brought a big pile of loans that don't seem invested at all. And that's the only way I can say it. And you add that to a massive pile of players brought in the summer that just don't get it. They have no idea what it takes to play for this football club. It's an embarrassment, as I say. I'll say it again. I'm going to probably say it several times. That was a disgrace tonight, yet again.
Yeah, we'll get on to individual players in a minute. And by the way, you could talk about every one of them because every one of them was absolutely atrocious. Kenny, third goal goes in, make an arse of it. The boys got plenty of room down our right-hand side again. Where's our right back? Nobody really knows. It comes in. Raskin, who was painfully bad all night, then flicks it. The boy takes a turn. By the way, that big guy, never heard of him before. Value in the transfer market, not very high. Bullied our defence, bullied our team all night. Where's he standing, Kenny? Right on the penalty spot. Takes a touch, rifles at home. It's 3-0. It's another absolute gift. At this point, I said I was done with this group, and on our chat, I called them some other things that we'll try not to repeat. But it's true, Kenny. This is going to be a rinse repeat podcast because I just don't see how there's absolutely any way that anyone can fix this. As I said we need to limp through to January somehow. Christ, this is going to. How does he fix that? Because that just another one where you're just saying on you go and take a clean shot at goal.
Yeah, and I lost count of the amount of times there was somebody standing in with yards of space, either on the edge of the 18-yard box, at the penalty spot. All these things just recurred all night long, mate. It just happened all night long. And that comment is very true. I don't think Inciala would be any worse than that lad. In fact, I think he'd be better at left back. And as I say, I don't want to overly dwell, and I know we have to discuss it. I don't overly want to dwell on that tonight because we have said this since the start of the season, Stevie, that we could tell with the way we were set up, the way we were playing, the players that we have, that the Bruges game was going to come. The Bruges performance and result was going to come. We've seen another very similar tonight against a far inferior opposition. And sad as this may sound, I think we've got a few of these coming our way. I just think that we have a real issue now, Stevie. And Andrew Kavanagh, I don't know if he's still here. I don't know if he's away. I think I would presume he's away back. He backed the CEO and the sporting director and the director of football, and I just wonder if he's going to have second questions about that and doubt himself a little bit, because if he honestly believes that that's a Rangers squad, he's deluded.
Said it last night, the biggest issue with Andrew Kavanagh is that he might be too close to this, and he's entrenched in believing that we are going in the right direction and that we are doing the right things with the right people in charge. You cannot watch that Rangers team tonight and think that we were anywhere close to good enough. Kenny Butland, we can leave out of this. James Tavernier, woeful. John Souttar, horrendous. Nasajiga, awful. Meg Homa, never a Rangers player. That's your back four. There's no point in wondering why we were getting beat. Ali said it, 24 away games, 320 days. James Tavernier is captain. Oof, my word. We've been talking about him not being in this squad for the last 18 months and people were giving us stick about it. That's why he's producing this level of performance on the ball, off the ball, positionally dreadful. Midfield, Joe Rothwell is a shadow of the player that he once was. He looks unfit. cannot go past 60 minutes. Nico Raskin he's either a foot in or he's a foot out. Tonight he was a foot out and he played on the outskirts. Woeful, third goal, not good. Front line, Gassama marked out the game because he's clearly our best player. No end product there at all. Tello Asgard, is he any better than Nadeem Bayrami? You can argue about that yourselves. Oliver Antman can't go past a player. Apparently fast. Chermiti, £8 million, Kenny. £8 million. Oh my word, mate. That is your team tonight, and every single one of them were absolutely horrendous. You're talking about 4 or 5 out of 10 at best for every single player out there. And by the way, seen the first half, Chermiti header, Chermiti back post, nowhere to be seen. No striker's instinct about that. Kevin Thelwell told us in the meeting the other night that he's got a goal record. He's not scored in 2.5 years. Kevin Thelwell spent £23 million and is yet to see the fucker score a goal. I can't, honestly, it's not even funny. Like, it's beyond, it's funny, but it's beyond funny for us that we're having to sit and watch this. Bojan Majovski, we've made look like an absolute imposter. What did I say when we signed him? Good player. I'm not sure he can make it here. And then there's, we've spent big money on players everywhere. Tello Asgard genuinely is a player that we would have bought 3-4 years under Steven Gerrard to be fourth choice and come in and be a project player and get better for us, like we did with Aribo and stuff like that. And we expect him to go in and perform for us. We are just, there's no way that I can watch this tonight and defend any of them. And we sat last night and we tried to be balanced and we tried to say to people, and we was told today that any chance we could have some positivity on the podcast, any chance we could talk about Rangers in a positive light. We cannot talk about Rangers in a positive light, Kenny, because this is what we see. How can you possibly watch a guy like Chermiti and say give him time when we've spent that amount of money on it? It is horrendous.
I don't understand what people want us to say. We are on here putting our necks on the line, if you like, to just tell people what we see and say it as we see it. And if you honestly think I can anybody believes that I could turn up on this and say anything positive about that tonight, you're fucking deluded, man. I just don't get it, Stevie. I don't get anybody trying to find even a hint of positive. Brann are the lowest ranked team in this competition. And they beat us 3-0. We never looked like scoring. We looked like conceding just about every time they went up the park. This is a humiliation yet again. And if you want positivity, I don't know, go to the pictures or something like that, as Bobby Williamson once said. Do you know what I mean? It's just crazy. And my concern at this moment in time, Steve, is you've just rattled off those players. And
they're terrible, Kerry. It's like you could make, by the way, you could take 10 changes on Sunday easy and they would all be deserved. All of it.
Every single one of them. Why James Tavernier is sitting here where I think just about every Rangers fan, bar the guys that have just defended Tav to the hilt. And I've already said this about James Tavernier. For me personally, he deserves his place in the Hall of Fame. I think he's been done for 2 seasons and he's getting worse. And why is he taking every single set piece for us still to this day? That is utterly beyond me, Stevie. I'm watching him float 45-yard free kicks into the keeper's arms all the time. You're like, his delivery is absolutely appalling.
He just can't pass. He can't pass the ball anymore. He's not got the legs to get back. Positionally, he's all over the place. And by the way, Goldson used to cover him a hell of a lot, and now Connor Goldson's not there, and John Suter's the one that doesn't have any legs to try and catch him. It might seem like it's all James Tavernier, McComb at the other side, the 2 in the middle. They're all really, really... By the way, they would be poor backup players for us in a successful Rangers Steven Gerrard team. Hollander, Goldson, Balogun, they're not getting anywhere near these guys at all. No. They are probably worse than George Edmondson, who was not able to get in this Rangers team.
Yeah.
So that's the level I think these guys are at.
This is what I was trying to say. I'm not here to bash Tav here. It's not. This is not on him tonight. It's on the lot of them. And you have to understand that for me, I don't believe for a minute that you can blame this squad of players for being as ill-equipped and inadequate as they are for this level of football. We've been told just the other day, Stevie, that you've got this remit from the owners about a director of football and a head coach. And, well, there is only one person that the buck stops with here. And that, for me, is where my frustrations are coming, because having listened to that everything that was said on Tuesday, there's a delusion going on up there if they think this is acceptable. Now, Andrew Kavanagh was talking about getting the everything still to play for. Well, 2 days later, you can be disabused of that. We're getting nothing out of this competition, so that's us out of that tonight. What else have you got to look forward to at this minute in time?
I think it's Danny Roll's seen it live, isn't it? He's seen it front and personal tonight. I think he must be thinking now that I cannot go with anything close to this again. I need to shore this up, because that would be the first thing I would do, is stop leaking goals. Like we're chucking them away. I would love to say try and grind out a few 1-0s, but it's more or less impossible. By the way, Hibs at Easter Road, rip-roaring attack. Like, they come hard at us. We will crumble under that. Celtic are pretty grim at this moment in time, but at Hampden, they will have a right good go at us on that pitch, and I can't see us holding that. Kilmarnock, really stuffy, really well organised. We will give up chances, which means they will most likely get one. How do you score 2 in games these days? Because it's very hard to come by for us. These are the 3 immediate games he's got, and this is what I mean about trying to get to Christmas. There's no answer there, Kenny. There's nothing I can say that's going to make this sound better or try and fluff it up for people. That tonight was a really, really poor performance, but even if we're going to get really better, I'm not sure it's even good enough. We've seen their best efforts on Saturday, which probably was the best 45 minutes I've seen in a long time, and they could only take one off Dundee United and were struggling to create clear-cut chances. I just don't see what you do in the short term to fix this. Like, genuinely, I don't think we can fix it short term.
David, there's nothing to fix.
How painful is it going to get? I think, like you said, there's going to be more of that tonight.
There's nothing's going to fix this. I'll break this team down tonight in a really kind of simple manner. That back four isn't fit for purpose. The midfield didn't get near a man all night, and that strike force, Gassama, as you say, is a tidy wee player. The Ant-Man, I've seen nothing apart from one half against Pilsen in his debut. Nothing from him really. And if I was to mention Chermiti, without swearing, I'll be stunned here, because who are you trying to kid, right? That I've seen a lot of people say this, and this is that drama. I've seen a lot of people turn around and say that actually needs investigated. That is not an £8 million player. He isn't, Stevie. There's nothing about that boy that makes me think he is anything other than a glorified youth player with glorified youth stats. And they've brought him into our squad. They are playing him in every single European game. Look at that boy's first touch tonight, Stevie. I mean, look at.
Do you remember when we used to sign bad strikers, Eric Bo Anderson, right? And we knew straight away he still banged in 15, 20 goals and then got punted off. He still looked decent. He still had a good touch. He still had a turn of pace. He just wasn't right for us. Oleg Salenko, the exact same. They were quickly moved on when we made a bad signing, right? They were nowhere near this guy's level. Peter Van Vossen was absolutely tremendous for a season or so until that bad moment where he completely dipped and you understood why. But this guy's at a level, Kenny, where I've never seen in terms of poor signings for us. And we've had some amount of bad signings in recent years. He's like this. We have to be careful about what we say. We have to be really careful what we say. But that's a poor signing And people say in the comments blaming Tav again. We are not blaming Tav. We are blaming all 10 outfield players from start to finish. You see the money they've spent. Genuinely, there's been as well of just putting it out a window and pouring it down the drain.
I want to point this out about Tav. I mentioned Tav purely on my frustrations on his set pieces. On his performance, he wasn't good enough, but neither was anybody else on that outfield. Jack Butland gets pass marks for a couple of fine saves, and his distribution was actually reasonable tonight. He did absolutely fine yet again. How many times have we had to come on here and say that the keepers kept us from getting a down? It's an absolute embarrassment, and I don't want to. I did say that this is not a Tav bashing session. It's nothing to do with James Tavernier. This, what I'm saying is that we have known for 2 seasons that James Tavernier is past his best. Now, on Chermiti, it's an insult to intelligence, Stevie. I genuinely believe that now. I have watched him enough, and you try and give him the benefit of the doubt. I've been up at a couple of games with yourself, and you're saying, "Oh, there might be some." No, I'm sorry. This is a young kid learning the game, and we have just forked out £8 million at the second highest transfer fee in our history on a boy that doesn't look as if he even knows the position. Stevie, he's so far out his depth. I am more than concerned. Because to me personally, this I don't want to be overly insulting. I'm looking at this boy. I'm looking at Cyril Dessers, and we get £4 million or whatever it was. I wouldn't give you £750,000 for this kid at the minute, and I'm deadly serious. There is a pile of Premier League strikers in our division that are miles better than that kid. So that's why I am so concerned about Chermiti, because you are having a laugh if you genuinely think this guy has got this potential. And yeah, he might well have, but he's not going to get to fulfill that potential playing for a club like Glasgow Rangers. You're off your rocker if you think you can.
Yeah, sadly we could go on about all of them. Really worried about the majority of players that team tonight. I don't even know what you do ahead of Sunday. Positive, if I'm really scratching, is that it stayed at 3 and it was only 3, and that is dreadful to say it. That could have been, in every European game, could have been as many as the opposition wanted if it wasn't for Jack Butland. I don't even know what else to say about this, Kenny. I really don't. I'm struggling. I don't know how you fix it ahead of Sunday. I really don't know what you do with that. He has to try and fix that. I don't know what you do. Do you go at 3 at the back and just try and go for numbers more than quality because you don't have the quality? What do you do? You could make 10 changes genuinely to that. It's so difficult to come on here. It makes me angry genuinely when we read some of the comments and people say you need to be, I can only comment on what I see. What are you supposed to say on that tonight? What do you say? You come on here and insult people's intelligence and try and say it will get better or that. I can't see that getting better. What does he do? We travel home tonight, a rest day tomorrow, a game at Saturday morning on the training pitch. What the hell does he do in that time? Then Sunday, Monday recovery, Tuesday on the training pitch, Wednesday game. He's got 2 sessions and 2 games. And then we got a recovery day, Thursday, session, Friday, Saturday, and then we're in a semi-final against Celtic.
There's nothing this guy can
what
do.
Do you do? I genuinely think I'm starting to think you just go to 3 at the back. And then how do you shore up that midfield? There's nobody to win the ball. There's nobody to keep that. There's nobody there that you can rely on, like an enforcer or anything like that. So the whole squad, like the whole shape of that team is weak. As Ali said, they look like boys. So how do you stop that? And the problem with that level of physicality is mentally and stuff like that. When they go behind, it becomes draining for them. They can't get back in. Like, are we going to be stuck in this rut until we somehow get to a transfer window, and then Christ, you're relying on Purdy and Thelwell Jr. to fix that. And I'm sorry if that sounds facetious, but geez, I mean, it's not like we've got a load of confidence going into that, given what we've already seen. You could literally send every lone player back right now. The 4 at the back, Mikey Moore, sorry, yeah, son, you're going to be a good player, but you are very much in the Amid Diallo stage of you're not ready to be a Rangers player in 3 years' time, in 4 years' time, when you get the experience you will be. You worry about the players around their ability to play. Could we get better players that would make Ant-Man, Gassama, Asgard and stuff better? Possibly, but they're still not the level of first team what we should be. They wouldn't have got in a Steven Gerrard team, and that I reference that, or a Giovanni Van Bronckhorst team, because I referenced that to our back when we last were successful. So how do you fix that, Kenny?
You're absolutely spot on with your assessment for me on going to 3 or 5 at the back. We have to shore that up.
I meant 3 in the middle. Aye.
You're going to have to do this, Stevie. We are leaking goals. What is that? 24 games since we kept a clean sheet away from home. So, in truth, there is very, very little that Danny Rowe's going to be able to do in the short term now, apart from get through to January and give. I'm watching what I say here. Give Kevin Thelwell both fucking barrels and turn on and say to him, this is nowhere near acceptable in terms of the level of player to play at the performance levels that you're asking in this particular competition. We are sitting mid-table in the Premier League, Stevie. We are ranked rotten bottom of the Europa League. We are sitting, as I say, coming off them. The Rangers weren't good last season, Stevie, and we got the quarterfinals of this tournament. And at the very least, I would expect at all times in a Rangers team, for a Rangers team over the last few years, is to get to the playoff. And we're not going to make that. We've got tough games coming in that competition. So for me, what we have to do is almost to a certain degree, Stevie, from this moment on, concentrate from game to game, which he's already said he's going to do. But see if you can get the first trophy in the cabinet. I will be absolutely stunned and I will be delighted. But almost to a degree, mate, we are going to have to look at it and say we have to turn around and listen to the head coach, what he wants, what he needs, get him to get that stability at the back, because individually it's not there. So they're going to have to work on that massively. The midfield, I don't know how you fix that at the moment. I genuinely don't. And up front, we can't score goals. So for me, it's almost a look to January and with a thought process that look into the summer already and what we're going to need to turn around and fix this, because this has been, we have had some absolute disaster transfer windows over the last few summers, mate, and this is the fucking worst by a long way.
Only Rangers Football Club could spend 40 million, spend records amount on players for the first time, and genuinely sit and say we are worse than we've ever been in the last 3-4 years. It's just been the completely wrong strategy. That's the word I'm looking for, to go, we have got a bunch of promising young kids and there's no leaders or men beside them. In our day, the players would have been bought in to play. In a Steven Gerrard team, Joe Aribo was bought in to play here and there. Calvin Bassey played here and there until they were ready. We've went and thought that you could chuck in a bunch of so-called wonder kids and they would all just knit together. It's just not possible. We've seen that. Can we bring in free agents before January? Yes, we can. But then you're getting a guy who has not probably played or trained properly in 4 or 5 months, and you're asking him to come into a team. I just don't see how it's possible. Kenny, ahead of Sunday, try and move our thoughts to that. James Tavernier, Max Aarons, one for the other. McComa needs to come out of the left back position immediately. Cornelius should most likely play there in the middle. Suter, Giga, I just, if neither of them played, you would be chucking, look, you're throwing shit at a wall and try to keep something, but does Fernandez and Enciala, who are probably not ready and good enough either, but you have to shore that up with three of them. Somebody has to play in the middle, in the middle of that defence. Three solid in the middle. I don't know what you do. You probably play Connor Barron and tell him just to sit and try and protect. And this, by the way, this is at home to Kilmarnock, right? This is how I'm feeling about it. And then you need to probably play Raskin. I don't know where Diamandi is, if he's still injured. I know obviously he was suspended, I think, for tonight. Barron, Diamandi, Raskin, probably your best three in there. And then you go with Gassama having a free role behind. I don't know. Do you know what? And everybody will hate me. I'd probably play Danilo up there because he's the one that I trust if a chance comes. I don't think Bojan Majowski has shown anything. Touch everything tonight. He didn't look on it when he came on. Chermiti, just, I don't want to talk about him anymore. I just don't know what to do. And I genuinely lost for words when I try and come up with a solution or something that will make people feel better. There isn't. Finlay Curtis has probably been the most hard done by in this squad this season because we fell a nose in goals, but I just don't know, man.
Well, for Sunday's game, what do you do? I would be very... Put it this, and I'll put it this way for you quickly, right? That they were all telling us on Tuesday that Danny Rule was the right man for the job, perfect fit, all these kind of stuff. He's got to work a miracle from here till January. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you want to sit there and look at this and be as fair as you can be, then he's going to have to sit and, as you say, get three centre halves. Probably all three of the ones that played today, unless Giga's injured. Then you have an issue. Fernandez, Enciala are still there. I genuinely don't know what you do because the right back, they're as bad as each other. They are. They're just poor. You've got a scenario where I'm like you with Danilo. I'd be playing Danilo. I'd be playing Bayrami. I wouldn't be playing Asgard at all. I just don't think. I know he had a lovely goal at the weekend. He just hasn't done enough to justify being a first pick every single game. He's done nothing in a Rangers jersey that makes me think, well, he's better than Bayrami. Danilo's done more in a Rangers jersey than every new player in that squad. He's done more than anybody in the squad, probably with the exception of Jack Butland, Tav and Suter, maybe, I don't know. He merits a place. Nobody's ever going to tell me, Stevie, this is what's, I said this to you, I left your voice note at half time, and I said that nobody's ever going to tell me that boy Chermiti's better than Danilo. So what the hell is going on? That Danilo's had, up until tonight, he's had 7 minutes of football since the window shut. You're kidding. We can't score goals. We've got a boy that was scoring goals against Celtic, what, 2 or 3 of them last season? They're the best team in the country, apparently, and he can score goals against them. The rest of them can't score against Toffee. I mean, come on. It's an absolute nonsense.
Kenny, we have to finish this with what remains. Kevin Thelwell can't turn this around. He can't last at this football club. No matter that, this is now in the realms of the fans will never change their mind with Kevin Thelwell. Said the other day he spoke really well. He defended himself and some of the things you could say, right, that's his argument for. I said it on the podcast with you and Chris that it's not gaslighting as such because he really believes it, but you cannot tell us what we are seeing right in front of us. The recruitment has been horrible. All of the players that they bought in, with the exception of young Gassama and Lyle Cameron, who, by the way, doesn't even get a look in because he's not a Thelwell player, so read into that what you like. You cannot criticise them too. The rest of them, my word. And I think there's better players in there. but they're not better players where they could be outstanding first-team players for us yet. Ant-Man could be a good player for us with better players around him. Asgard might be a Joe Aribo type player in 3 years, but we don't need that in 3. We need this right now. Max Aarons, Nasa Jiga, Derek Cornelius, Meg Homa could all go tomorrow, and I wouldn't miss any of them. And that's just, Mikey Moore not going to be ready. The recruitment, Kenny, has been woeful. Ali was right. It was absolutely horrendous. That's strong words, by the way, for anybody to use on national telly, or TNT Sports, being global telly, if you like. That's strong words. And Ali's probably dialing that back a wee bit when he says horrendous, but he's right. I don't think Kevin Thelwell turns us around no matter what. I don't think you can trust him going into January. I don't think you can trust Dan Purdy. I certainly don't trust his son. Regardless of what they say and why he was appointed, it should never, Ali said it, it should never have happened, and you wouldn't have done it. They cannot lead us into January. They most likely will. But if this chain of results continue, they certainly might speed up their departure from the club, which I think is going to be inevitable at some point anyway, that we're going to have to clean that out because the fans will continue rightfully to ask questions over that. It's just been horrendous. And we're reaping what they done in the summer with regards to their strategy, which has been completely wrong. The players that they bought, which have been completely wrong. David Edgar asked him if he'd underestimated Scottish football. He said, no, absolutely not. He has underestimated Scottish football and what it takes up here to be successful. And yes, stupid wee fan media sat in front of them all and told them exactly what was required, the type of players, what we don't have in the squad, what we needed urgently. And they laughed and said, yeah, why are all your players so young and small? And they replaced them with players of the exact same ilk. So, no, Kenny, Kevin Thelwell's a huge problem that's not going to go away. That's before you even get to Patrick Stewart, who will never really turn around his feeling of the fans, and they continue to be the ire. We get into trouble for continually discussing them. You cannot discuss or not discuss Kevin Thelwell on a night like tonight when you are seeing the fruits of his labour right in front of your eyes and Rangers being embarrassed by a team, no disrespect, who a couple of years ago, under the leadership of Niels Coppin and people before him, would have brushed aside quite easily. So where have we went with Kevin Thelwell, and what he's produced and enabled Rangers on this park is simply miles away.
They are culpable for a run of games. It's, what is that now, 5 and 19, 5 wins in 19, is that correct? Now, forget the results, it's the performances as well. Right, the results are bad enough. This has never been acceptable at our football club, but the performances, you watch a performance like that with 10 and utterly inept outfield players. Now, at that level, Stevie, this is what what you have said about he said he didn't underestimate Scottish football. Yes, he did, but he's also seriously underestimated Europa League football because what he's done here is put a bunch of wee boys into a lion's den where there isn't a bad team in that competition, and he is destroying all confidence in these players. You can tell none of them play with any confidence. They can barely string 3 passes together, Stevie. Now, I don't doubt that their stats are all decent and all these kind of things, and they're coming from clubs like Luton and Sheffield Wednesday and Go Ahead Eagles, and there is a fucking huge, monumental difference from playing for a club like that to playing for a club like us, where we got to, as I say, I'm not going to hark on, I say a third time I've said that, you're replacing players that got to the quarter final of this competition last year, and you're 36th out of 36. And that's where we're going to be tonight, Stevie. Humiliated. Now, we have been told this week, as I said, that this is the remit that Kevin Thelwell has. He's in charge. Well, the buck stops with him then. And that's before we even get into the absolutely mind-boggling decision to bring his son into this environment. His son, by the way, as far as I'm aware, was a video analyst at Norwich City. He's now the head of our recruitment.
He must fucking hate his son. He must hate him. By the way, come up the road and join in this, because
and I know I'm
why would you bring your son into this and think it's a good idea?
Fucking bonkers, mate. It is absolutely bonkers to do that, because everything about the optics of it are throwing red flags, alarm bells, sirens, warning, signs. Everything about it is crazy. And as I say, here we are sitting there, and he's going to work 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, apparently. Good for him, because there is zero trust in these guys. Because look at it tonight, Stevie, and I know I am pissed off, and I'm going to come across really, really hacked off tonight, but I am, and I'm kind of fed up coming on here and biting my tongue to a certain degree. That is bullshit tonight. It's never going to be acceptable. And come on, man up, own it. And Andrew Kavanagh needs to understand that as well. And Parag Marathi needs to understand this, that our ire is now strictly fixed on Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart for putting us through the rigmarole of having to watch this shit show day in, day out.
That's a problem. I said, if he's too close to this and he's too entrenched in what he thinks works, then we are going down the wrong route. That is for sure. He explained the other night that he wouldn't spend £6 million and £3 million a year on wages on brain freeze. Chermiti, of course. Chermiti on the right-hand wing. And Chermiti would have brought you goals and what he brought you last year, and you've just stripped that out and replaced him with a young, promising player that's not got any numbers to him. See, the issue is as well, see when you bring players in from Luton and players on loan from Bournemouth and everything else, they don't realise that Rangers is fearsome. They need to win every single week. And that's the biggest issue. We don't have winners. We don't have that leadership. We don't have anything at all. So, yeah, it is sadly what it is. Kenny, these shows don't get any easier, sadly. They won't get much better. I'm not going to apologise to anybody for hurting and feeling that tonight. I've been a Rangers fan and following Rangers all my life. I've been going to games for 35 odd years. And I don't recognise Rangers when I watch them. They are not a team that I can confidently say are anywhere near our level. Disgraced our shirt and our badge again tonight. Danny Rule has got a momentous job ahead of him. I don't know how he fixes it. He might be a young coach. Sadly, he will not last here if he has a horrible 10 games, because the fans will lose all faith. And it's not even his fault, because we've seen the level of what he has to deal with this evening. This vicious cycle that we're in might have a few turns to go yet, Kenny. And I cannot sit here for the life of me and tell everybody watching that it could get better and we could do this and we could bring in this player and it might fix it, because I don't see how it will. Thank you for having the balls to come on again and talk about this, Kenny. It's really appreciated.
Strap yourself in and buckle up, because we've got plenty of these coming our way. I have no doubt in my mind now, Stevie, that there is a huge amount of those new signings that have been just nowhere near good enough, mate. They're just not. And I feel for some of them, because they are clearly in bad actors in the wrong movie, mate. That's what they are. And they don't deserve to be at Glasgow Rangers, some of them. And if they persist with this, they're going to get chased out of town. It's just pathetic. And again, like Socrates there, I've been a fan for 50 years, mate. And at this minute in time, I am at the end of my tether. I am sick to the back teeth of watching this Rangers team. I'm like you. I don't recognise it. And it's it's one of those things, Stevie, that I am now at that point where you can tell why there is so many people talking to me. They'll be doing the same with you, and they're saying, I've got a decision to make. And the owners would do well to understand that, because I think there is a huge amount of people in the same. Well, this anger that I'm feeling tonight and that you're feeling tonight is turning to apathy. And it is because, I'm going to swear for the last thing, you're looking at that tonight, giving it, what the fuck is the point in watching this? And that's where my concerns are.
Yeah. Folks, I would really love to come on here. Really love it and just talk about a nice win. I always laugh because I remember how giddy me and Kenny were when Rangers beat Dundee 4-3 in a meaningless game that meant absolutely nothing, but we're 3-1 down and came back in the last minute and won 4-3. And the smiles on our faces, you would have think we had won the World Cup. And we just want to watch a winning Rangers team. We want to come on. We want to have a laugh. I'm going to defend one of my best mates, Chris. Last night got piles of abuse and comments and stuff like that. Some of them way over the top, which I had to delete because they said he was negative. We're 6th in the league. We're ranked bottom of the Europa League. What we watched tonight is nowhere near a Rangers team in any level at all. Chris Bett is right when he talks about Kevin Thelwell, Patrick Stewart, and the level of this Rangers team, because people don't want to say it, and because he might have said it in a tone that people didn't like or whatever. Chris Bett is right. Kenny Stewart is right. Sadly, I'm right, and I don't say that in a wanky way, because this is what we've watched tonight. This Rangers football team is miles away from levels that it should be, and it's been dragged there by Kevin Thelwell and a summer recruitment that has led us to exactly this point. Dan Purdy, Kevin Thelwell, Patrick Stewart, Andrew Kavanagh are overseeing all of this, ladies and gentlemen, and if they don't fix it quickly, then this is not going to get any better. January needs to be a hell of a turnaround. And by the way, when we actually limp here into January, I fear for Danny Rule already, because that is the level that he's dealing with. If he doesn't have a magic wand, as Ali said tonight, he could be the best coach in the world, but he doesn't see much of what he's dealing with. And by the way, Ali coached us in Division 3, 2 and 1 and knows the levels of Rangers in the real shit. I would love to see this is get better. We'll be back tomorrow night with more reaction. We'll be back on Sunday for the match day vlog. Yeah, this is painful. It really, really is. Tonight was an embarrassment, humiliation to watch Rangers perform that way. Kenny, do you want to add something just before we go?
No, just I'm glad I'm taking a few days off, mate. And as you know, I've had a couple of health issues, mate, and they're not good for your blood pressure, honestly. To make light of it, just it's a disgrace, isn't it, mate? It's not good enough.
Yeah. My mate Gary, we used to go from the age of, I don't know, 11, 12. We used to go and watch proper Rangers teams. Gary will know how I'm feeling at this moment. Kenny, Gary will be feeling the exact same way, that's for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thanks to everybody in the comments. There's been so many trying to follow. There's over 10,000 watching this, and we really appreciate all your support. Thank you to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clydeview Fire, Evacuation and Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, CSD Air Conditioning. All our sponsors really help us. We really appreciate all your support. As to our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold, thank you. If you haven't liked and subscribed on YouTube, excuse me, sorry, I'm probably about to have a heart attack given what I've just watched. If you haven't liked and subscribed on YouTube, please do. That really helps us. It helps us grow fast, heading towards 11,500 subs. And the more that gets, the more bigger it gets, the more we can do things. One day we'd love to bring you a show every day. Just, you know, Reverend I Am Jolly. It's getting to the stages of it'll just be me sitting with a wee cap on and stuff, just nearly greeting at 10 to 9 at night. But it would be nice if me and Kenny could come on and crack a smile once in a while. But it would be great to get to these levels. The more you support us, the more we get that opportunity. If you want to become a member, it is up. I always do this. It's not that side, is it? It's that way. That's it. because it's the opposite side from where I am. See that wee bit up in the corner? You can scan that with your phone and become a member. That really helps us grow.
You can fix that, you know. You can fix that. You can change it and mirror it.
See, I do put it up. Look, I've done it already. See, if I did put it up there, I just spend the whole time pointing that way. I think people watch it just to watch me fuck up anyway, because it's real, it's live, it is what it is. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow night. We'll be live from 7. I think it is me, Calvin, and our new podder, Amrit, who was at the game tonight, and you'll be able to hear all his opinion live. Boy goes home and away everywhere. And I doubt he'll feel any better than we do at this moment. Thank you again for all the support. Have a good evening. Have a nice Friday. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Folks, I'm sorry if it was sweary. I'm sorry if it was ranty. I'm sorry if it was real. I'm sorry if you didn't like the tone. I'm sorry if you want us to be more upbeat. Rangers just got scalped again in the Europa League and are ranked rotten bottom. There's no point in trying to sugarcoat that. This football club and this football team is miles away from where it should be. And if we're not careful about who's taking us, they'll drag us even further into it. We need to be vigilant, keep the pressure on Kevin Thelwell, Patrick Stewart and Andrew Kavanagh to make sure that they realise this is wholly unacceptable. This is Rangers. Never lose sight of your expectations or demands of where this football club should be, and it certainly shouldn't be where we are now. Good night.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.